Welcome back to Gaijin Hideout. I'm Jeff. With me, as always, is Jesse. And today we're back for more Dragon's Dogma 2. This is going to be a different kind of reaction video because this is the first one we're doing since I played the game. We had it come out on Saturday, we had our first stream on Saturday, came out on Thursday. I played it for the first time on Saturday, and what I thought would be a good thing to do would be to revisit our tier list each week, because what I'm doing each week is I'm basically dedicating I'm dedicating my stream our stream each week to maxing out one vocation. So today we're kind of going to be doing a first impressions of the vocation that I played as this past Saturday, and then we're going to be updating my tier list. This is the tier list that we made.
Jeff official tier list.
Yeah, this is the Jeff official tier list from our tier list video from a few days ago. I made it like the day before the game came out as a guess of how I felt of all of the vocations. So just a quick recap: we put Mystic Spearhand. I got to take responsibility for this. I put Mystic Spearhand and Magic Archer at the top. Then we had Thief, Archer, and Sorcerer, Warfare, Fighter, and Trickster, then Warrior, then Mage at the bottom in D, because that's just how I roll.
No love for the Mage. No love at all.
But my commitment for the stream series is I'm going to max out all the vocations. Unless there's like zero interest in that and everyone suddenly wants me to beat the game. That's the plan. So we're going to talk about the Thief today, because that's what I did on my my playthrough, playthrough.
The entire 6 hours, you were the Thief.
It was 6.5 hours. I'm just going to put this on in the background while we talk. I don't want to pull it up in game. I don't want to get spoiled by anything or just get jumped by God knows what, So, So I started out as the Thief. I put about, before the stream, I had played for about 2.5, 3 hours in the very opening area by the encampment. And then for the stream itself, basically went from the encampment to Marv. I think it's called Marve. And,
Marv. Yeah.
And then we ended up in Vermund, and
tomato.
Vermund, tomato, and by the end of it, I had progressed the story to unlock the story missions from the guy in Vermund that you meet in the bar, and unlocked the Warrior and the Sorcerer vocation, done that mission. And so that's basically, we're in Vermund, we're about to go out and explore some more, fight some more stuff.
Yes.
It was a solid 3 hours of open world exploration though, between us leaving Marv.
Crazy how much
Vermund.
It just kind of sucked us in there.
It sucked us way in. So that entire time I was playing as the Thief. So I want to give my thoughts on well, first of all, thoughts on the game in general. It's freaking awesome. I'm trying not to swear the first 7 minutes, but it's so good. Once we got the performance stuff figured out and just got it running in some kind of state that was acceptable and stable. I just didn't care about anything else besides I was too distracted by the game being fun. It's kind of up there with a special set of games that are like that, where it's like you're really paying for the game part of the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's one of those games where I put down the controller and I'm instantly fiending to play more.
I know this is going to be a problem because I just do one big stream per week, and I'm going to be fiending about this all week. So thankfully, I guess I can make. I'll be thinking about it while I make the content for this week and stuff like that. But I was fiending. I've been fiending all day today, for it. So, and that is in large part because the Thief vocation is really, really fun to play as. I have slight gripes about it, but it is really good. It's really good. It feels really good to play as. When it's in its moment, when it's in it
looked fun.
When it's in the pocket, it is it's insane how fun it is. So one of the big things with the Thief is that it is one of the, I don't know a ton about the other vocations, but I think it's one of the few vocations that has any kind of a proper dodge, you might call it, which is when you press
Okay.
you press the R1. It's R1 for me on the PlayStation controller, but like if you press the R1 bumper, that is now so in the game. You know, in past games, in Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen, you had like 2 weapons equipped, and then you had like L1 and R1 was like if you were like a fighter, like L1 would activate your shield, and then you could press buttons to do your shield skills, and R1 was the same for your sword. You know, draw your sword. In this game, I'm not sure how the other ones go or how the other vocations work yet because I'm going in blind to this, but at least for the thief, you get daggers and your skills are activated by L1, and then your R1 is like, I'm assuming that's a exclusive mechanic for each vocation, because for the thief it's called a quick step, which is basically like a forward dash.
Okay, interesting.
You can it's controllable in the sense that you can like tilt the left joystick when you tap it, but really you're just tilting. You're moving your character in a direction and he's dashing forward.
Okay.
So it's not a proper dodge. It's not a dodge roll like it was
not
before.
like an Elden Ring dodge like you used to.
And the first one had something a lot closer to like a Souls like dodge roll. You know, it was fast, but it was like that you could get that in the Strider vocation. You know, but for the thief, it does still feel kind of RPG-ish, like action RPG-ish, in the sense that like it's not really an action game evasion, because it's slightly inconvenient, or at least in concept, because you're just repositioning yourself. That's real what it feels like. You're like, okay, there's an attack coming here, I'm gonna reposition myself over here. It's not like a dodge.
Do you get iframes with that dodge, Jeff?
So I'm not entirely sure. Someone can like probably let us know in the comments for sure. I'm pretty certain, because of a particular moment that caught my eye, that I get iframes at least at the start when I press it.
Okay.
I'm pretty confident I get a decent amount I get some iframes, but I didn't notice it in the beginning. A lot of it kind of comes down to if I'm out of it. A lot of it comes down to positioning more than anything. It's not like, did I hit the dodge roll button and the iframes are kicking in? It feels like it's like, okay, did I reposition myself, or did this goblin do a flying like jump punch into my face? And, like it all kind of happens at the start. You know, it's kind of like, you know, response. There's like, you kind of got to have quick response, a quick repositioning. It's
interesting because it's so, in a sense, it's so different from what you might expect, that it's engaging in that sense.
Yeah, and it doesn't. I don't think it costs any stamina, but it is like a substantial enough repositioning that you're not going to spam it. And I think in its own like kind of odd way, that kind of undoes a lot of the problems with having a dodge roll mechanic, because you are just going to spam that unless you tie it to stamina like they do in Soulsborne games. But for this one, it's like it is a drastic repositioning, and that is the case for like a lot of the things with the thief. Is like I think a lot of its skills could be like overpowered, like the win button kind of a thing, if like you weren't, if there wasn't so much movement involved with those skills, because he's very fast, but he moves a lot. So like when you start like laying out some of these skills, or even some of like the basic combos, you'll start noticing you're like, wow, I'm like drifting all over the place. So you kind of have to like, you kind of have to get a handle on it. You know, you kind of have to get the hang of it a little bit, because he is actually like very fast for like this game. But so beyond that, I can show you the skills that are that I used. The dodge is effective. It's a good mechanic. It's not super broken. You need to like position yourself properly.
You actually need to think about it.
It gets the job done. It doesn't feel too much like any other game. And and beyond that, okay. And so in terms of the basic combos, those are also very fast. And I think the decision I came to at the end of the game, at the end of my playthrough, was that the basic combos in the game are effective enough that I don't need to rely on a dagger skill specifically for dealing damage, which is different from Strider. Because Strider, you could do your basic combo. I forget what it's called. there's a name for it because you upgrade it, and you do that in this one as well. But I always felt like I was reverting to 100 kisses, and like 100 kisses is like just like this. It's this combo where he just like moves. It looks similar to the basic combo in both games, but like he's flinging his daggers like crazy really fast, and you could do it on the on the bosses as well. In this game, that skill I don't think exists. It's called something different now, and it's or the closest thing to it I'll talk about in a second, but it's a lot floatier and is not. It's not like a stand in place and you flail your daggers and anything that's within range like is dead. What they did instead, I think what they did instead is they have just made the basic dagger combos. Like when you're pressing, you can press. It's called carve.
Oh yeah, you were kind of showing that off to me on stream. I remember.
Yeah, they made the basic dagger combos much more effective to the point where I kind of decided by the end, you know what? I don't need. I was substituting in something for 100 Kisses, I think, or Scarlet Kiss, whatever it's called in the first one.
Yeah.
I was substituting something in for it, but then I was like realizing I'm like I don't have a lot of control over this, and like I'm getting a lot more like eloquent, like elegant attacks off doing the combo moves. And as I leveled up, I was like, wait a minute, I'm like doing decent damage now. So I came to the basically rambling a little bit, organizing my thoughts, but I came to the conclusion that like I can use the basic attacks for at least for the thief in place of this dagger skill that I was like kind of using as a crutch for most of Dragon's Dogma 1. And so that I think is like an objective like enhancement to the like the way that
yeah, it sounds like
that class play or vocation plays.
I haven't played the thief yet. I've limited myself to mage and sorcerer, unsurprisingly. But I can say even just coming from that angle, it really feels like all the classes are going to be very, very snappy to play. So
yeah. So in terms of that, and then also the strong attack, which was like a stab, and it's just like a hard stab. It seems like if you are finishing off an enemy, it throws in an extra killing blow there at the end for you for free. I'm not sure if that was something I unlocked, but it's pretty cool. Both are effective on bosses. I haven't decided if I like to just like strong stab in with both with the triangle or just do like a quick stab over and over. And then and the jumping strong stab is still there, where you can jump in the air and then like stab down, and all of that because the thief is a lot floatier. It feels a lot like it's a lot easier to overshoot in the beginning for someone like me that was coming in straight from Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen. But it also like once I kind of like adjusted a little bit, I was able to get a lot more precision control over like kind of more athletic, like trick shot moves with the knives and stuff like that. I feel like compared to the first one, you probably can tell me as well, Jesse. Compared to the first one, like how long it took me to figure out any kind of like clever like jump in the air, stab down. I got it almost immediately.
Yeah,
in this game.
No, you're getting it like instantly compared to the forever it took both of us to figure out that game the first time around.
Yeah, so that's like the basic combat mechanics. It's great. He's fast. I like being fast. The game is, I was holding down like keeping my encumberment in the very light category for like the first couple hours before I eventually gave up. And succumbs to the light category. But that definitely seemed to have a noticeable effect. I just was like, well, I'm light now and I have armor. It's fine.
It feels like it's easier. Maybe it's just
also, I love how he climbs because he's so fast. I don't know if like does your mage climb like this?
No, Jeff, you're like a hulking mountain of a human being.
Okay, part of it might be because my John Dogma, my character, is so tall and weird.
He's too big for this earth.
But also, I think he dash climbs really fast as a thief as well. So the thief is awesome and fast, and that's all the basics of it. Now I'll go over a little bit the skills that I used. I found different parts of the stream just to remind me, and so we can look at it together. So I used at the start, I was basically using a combination of Biting Wind, Enkindle Blades, Helm Splitter, and Ensnare. Helm Splitter came a little bit later. So Biting Wind is the one that I keep saying is, and it turns into cutting wind, and Kindle Blades turns into igniting blades, and Helm Splitter turns into skull splitter. A lot of this is from Dragon's Dogma 1, from the Strider and or the Assassin Vocation, but like the cutting wind one has a lot. That was one I couldn't ever quite get the hang of, and it was a basic skill that I unlocked, or like an early skill that I unlocked. And basically, you're supposed to press the button, the assigned button, to start it, and then he takes off running at the enemy.
Okay.
And then whether or not you press the button, you can just wait, and like after a certain period of time, he will like do this like kind of a clean kind of a spin slice or whatever, or you can activate it early by pressing the button again. That's how that one works. So you press it once, you press it again to activate it. In practice, there seemed to not be like a lot of response time on that when I was like pressing it. I had to like really hammer it. So that could have been a skill issue. But it just felt to me like I basically was like pressing it and then like, I like missing it when I was trying to press it again. And then I would compensate by like pressing it over and over again, and then I would and then that would get him to like start and then slash and then stop and then start and slash and stop. But the problem is if you button mash that one, you end up going through like your stamina bar really quick. So
okay, I see.
So that is the one that. So that's what I started with. Enkindled Blades was awesome at the start until Jess Revius unlocked his Fire Boon and Fire Affinity, but Enkindled Blades just basically turns your daggers into it gives them the fire buff for a bit, like a lot shorter than the magic boon.
Yeah, I mean, and you had Jess Revius around, so you barely needed that.
Yeah, Ensnare is freaking awesome in this game. I don't know if it was like this in the other game, in the first game. From what I understand, it is this was the part of the game where we spent like forever trying to figure out how to unblock that cave. I just realized. But basically, Ensnare was great for knocking down harpies, and it was relatively easy to aim. It's not a freebie, but basically Ensnare like throws out a rope with a sword on it, grabs the enemy, and like kind of like breaks their guard for a second. And in the case of like hitting, and I just instinctively thought to do this, I didn't look this up or anything, but in the case of the harpies, it turns out you can knock them out of the sky, because you'll throw it, it'll stab them, you'll yank it, and then they'll just fall to the ground and they'll be immediately vulnerable. And that is like that's so good. I don't know if I just completely missed that in the first one, but in this second one, it was like one of the first skills I unlocked, and it was immediately apparent because there was a lot of harpies. There's a lot of diversity in the enemies. Like you get goblins and you get harpies, and you get goblins, you get harpies, you get a boss.
Standard fare. Yeah.
But they're not like so sectioned off. Like I think in the first game, maybe like harpies were always kind of sectioned off somewhere. They kind of
it felt like they were in that mountain pass all the time. You know?
Yeah. So, so that's been immensely helpful because it takes down these flying enemies that in the past, at least, I really felt like I just had to jump and hit with my daggers or wait for somebody else to take down. So that's really good. And it also, I found out later, it also serves to break your, to break the enemy's guard, which you need for the thief's special skill, Pilfer, which I'll get into in a bit. But that is the situation with those first two, or those first three, I guess. And then Helm Splitter. So Helm Splitter is back, and it is a little different. I was torn about Helm Splitter at first, or Skull Splitter, I guess is what it, the really good version. But basically, you are floating up in the air a lot longer than you were before. So it removes the utility, any utility that Skull Splitter had for basic enemies. It's a lot harder to hit them. Saurians, you can kind of pull it off on a little bit because it's like you leap up into the air, almost like Sonic, and then you're spinning, and then you come down. So you either gotta.
I think we compared it to Sonic during the stream.
Yeah, so and I honestly feel like you get more air than the last one, like a noticeably more air, and it's like slower, like like it's more sustained. Like the last one, it's like up and down, and it's just like a quick slice. It's basically like there's a slicing, rectangle in front of you the whole way there. But this one, it's like you're up really fast, and then you like come down a bit less fast, I think, from what I remember. But you're almost like hovering in the air for a minute there. So that I wasn't like so sure if it was going to be useful, but then I got to like some of the bosses when by the time I'd unlocked it, and it was it had a massive effect on the bosses. It was tearing them up, man.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know if I have it. I don't know if I used it on this first one. I think I was so enamored with like climbing on the boss. But by the time we figured it out partway through on our second like Cyclops, I was blown away by like how much damage I was doing just carving up these Cyclopses and stuff. But that is that's what I started with. As I continued through the game, I had a slight change. So I eventually was like I said, with the biting wind, I got rid of that, and because I realized I was using my basic combos more than the biting wind, and so I replaced these two with. So I started. The first thing I replaced was biting wind with pilfer, and pilfer is like it.
Oh, that was such a weird ability. That's right.
Pilfer, I'm still figuring out because I'm not sure if it's so. Basically, first of all, the enemy's guard needs to be down. So ensnare works really well here because ensnare will catch them off guard if they're sorry, it's not really guard, it's like their battle stance needs to be broken. So if they're coming at you like they're about to attack you, you can't steal from them. But if you hit them with this ensnare and it like throws them off, then you can hit the pilfer button basically and steal from them. And it steals an item from them. And it might be just RNG based, like this whole what I'm about to describe, but basically it kind of seems like this sets you up to be able to loot an enemy 1 to 2 times instead of just one time, because there was definitely times where I was able to steal an item off of an enemy, kill him, and then press circle to examine his body and get the normal loot that I got. It's just the times that I noticed it was like with a hobgoblin who might have dropped more loot than like a normal enemy. It's because maybe it's like a pseudo boss or like a tougher. It's not a pseudo boss, but it looks it seems a little tougher.
Yeah, he seemed like he was in charge of the whole fort we were kind of raiding.
Yeah, so I'm not entirely sure how that's going to shake out, and I also haven't upgraded it yet. So I really don't know exactly what I'm getting when I do that, but it's fun to do. It gives me something else to do with ensnare as
Makes you feel like a thief,
Yeah. I haven't tried it on NPCs yet, but I think you can steal from NPCs.
Oh.
So if that's the case, I'm going to try it in the town. So we got to remember to do that.
That's a really great point. Yeah, we should do that.
The other thing you can do with pilfer is you can steal from them if you have managed to successfully pin the enemy down. I've done that by accident once or twice, but I also haven't figured out how to pin the enemy down yet. It has something to do with I may need to get better at my order of operations where I'm breaking the battle stance and then maybe it's running and pressing the grab button pins them down. I'm not sure. So, but I've seen it happen a couple times. But I believe that's the other way you can pilfer. So that one's interesting. I'm still figuring that one out. Powder charge was another one that I was using, and that is you plant a mine on the ground or on the boss that you're on, then you jump off and you detonate it, or you move away and you detonate it. I don't think it deals damage to me. Because I think the encouragement I got from chat was to just jump off the boss and detonate it because it looks cool, basically.
Well, that was one of the highlights from the the preview material we saw.
Yeah, when I saw it, I immediately was like, "This is just gonna be for style points. There's no way this is gonna fit the flow." but it does have a bit of a range on it. I'm seeing the potential out there. That's why I left it there for now, at least, because I want to kind of see what I can do with it, because it might be like a good final thing to plant when I'm running out of stamina and need to get off of a boss to recover anyway, and then activate it later.
I see what you mean.
Like maybe if you get really good at like paying attention to like when you're dealing enough damage on a boss's weak point that's about to stagger him, maybe you can like get it like, do n-1 number of hits on the weak point while you're climbing on the boss, and then jump, get off of them, plant the powder charge, jump off of them and activate it, and then that staggers them and you guys are repositioned to like gang up on them or something. I don't know. But I'm still playing around with that, but it is nice to just kind of just blow up random enemies and stuff. And then
I'll take style, Jeff.
We talked about Skull Splitter as well. So, but yeah, so for Pilfer and Powder Charge, if anybody in the comments has any thoughts on the way to, make the best use of those without spoiling too much, like, feel free to let me know. So I'm still actively figuring those two out, but they are interesting. So
now, I don't know if we mentioned this before, Jeff, but what rank rather in the vocation are you?
Okay, so I think I ended up at level 6. Yeah, I ended up at level 6 by the end of it. So
solid.
So and when I got to level 6, I unlocked this move, Gut and Run, which is so basically what Gut and Run is supposed to do. I have not tried this yet. This is to be tried on next stream, but it basically like digs in, it like does a deep stab on the enemy, and then runs away, like pushes back or whatever. And the more significant way in which you would use that from the description is like if you're climbing on a boss, like it will like stab in deep and it does extra damage to a weak point. So that's like if we get up on a Cyclops and we get near his eye and I use Gut and Run, it's going to like do compounding damage to his weak point.
That is very interesting.
So that is very interesting. And so this is like what I ended up with. This is my build that I'm going to test out for the next stream is I guess I held on to Powder Blast. I considered like Pilfer was kind of gimmicky. It was kind of fun to do. But what I basically, once I got Gut and Run, I was like, okay, that's going to be my new like special like scenario one. And I'm just going to like try and get better at using Skull Splitter even on normal enemies and stuff like that. So, but that's my general build. I am using my own skills a lot, or my own basic combos a lot. Just Reeves is like Fire Boon is like really helping in a lot of cases with that. So that's why I don't have the
Fire
builds.
Again seems to be effective against pretty much everything.
Yeah, at least in the early
we'll
game.
see.
But that is my general summary, and I've talked a little bit about the effectiveness of the thief on different enemies, but that's what I really want to highlight with this is so the downside of the thief is he's very floaty and fast, so he's kind of hard to control in the beginning around small amounts of enemies or smaller enemies like mobs and stuff. But I remember you were having that issue with the goblins there. Yeah, it's just it's more of like a timing thing. Like by the time I get my thief like zoomed around to like zooming in the right position and like able to like take out a goblin effectively, the other like members of my party are much more like they're faster about it, so they've done all of the damage and taken him out already. Yeah. So he's not very good at shredding mobs. He's okay at dealing with damage to something like a Saurian, but he is an absolute menace for bosses. For any large boss character, like that is when he is like the thief is in its total element. He's just so fun to play as. We're gonna see right here. There's gonna be a Cyclops that comes out, and right here. And like just the way in which you can just like scamper up like with the thief. I don't know how much slower it is in other in other vocations.
Yeah.
But you'll see, I like my forward dash just comes in handy because I'm just trying to dash forward past his like swings or whatever. And then like the second I get a chance, I can scamper up really fast. It's pretty fast, you know, it's just going right on up there. And then look at how fast the combos are with this. That's my basic combo, but it's like, you know, it's a lot. And it's I had so much fun doing this. I didn't even try using the skull splitter until like later on. But the skull splitter would allow me to basically, if I pause, it goes right up to here, like above his ass, basically. Like it goes up and it's dealing damage. And like you saw, Jesse, on that second ogre, wherever that is in here, it's somewhere, it's somewhere in here in our little nighttime run we did. It was just shredding him by the end
I
of it.
remember you melted the guy. Yeah.
May have been because I leveled up a bit, but like it was like that was a lot more. It was too much to have just been because I'd leveled up more, you know. So that's really where he's in his element, is like when it's boss time, it's like fun time. That's basically how the thief really works, you know. And then, you know, see, there I go, kind of playing around with it a bit. Yeah, no, we figured it out here. It's like, yeah, that does a good amount of damage. Look at that. That's, you know, that's pretty good, all things considered. So, and then when I upgraded this to Skull Splitter, that's when I was like, oh my gosh, this is still like Helm Splitter here, but Skull Splitter just like, it took off even more. I was like, that's crazy. But yeah, it's just really satisfying because you can like climb up really fast, and even his strong attack is relatively quick. So you can get up on his weak point and just start like slamming daggers into like his neck or eye or whatever. And you can drop him pretty fast. And, he's also got an augment. I think this was the same as before, but like he is able to fall farther, I think. Like
that came in handy.
Because otherwise
saved you a lot of embarrassing moments.
Yeah, because otherwise if you fall from this height, like you'll like face plant a lot of the time. But
I love how you can kind of see your character like slowly turning to do the face plant.
Yeah, like the standard face plant animation, and then like once you unlock that, he's like, "Nope, I got it at the end." Like a cat, he like kind of sticks his hand out and like on the ground and like lands. So, that is really that's the real forte of the thief, I would say, is like he's in his absolute prime with bosses. It just made sense. Like from the start, it just made sense. I had no like caution. Even with the Strider, I had like caution with approaching bosses in the beginning or whatever. But literally from the opening, I
felt bad for them, Jeff.
Yeah.
I felt bad for them.
And with this new move, this gut and run move, it's like, I can only imagine, if I'm assuming the Cyclops' true weak point is its eye. So if I can really like get ballsy, climb up onto its face and like aim that gut and run on its eye, I want to just see exactly how much damage I can really like, you know, lay into
That's interesting.
a Cyclops.
Yeah.
And this is only like rank 6. Okay. Like my grapple is still not that strong. Like it just kind of slightly shocks the enemies. My ensnare move. I mean, I accidentally spoiled for myself. I get that in the next rank 7. I get a stronger version of that. So who knows like what effect that's going to have. And then there's I've got like 4 more ranks to go, and then whatever the special the Meister skill is, so overall, like this was great. Like this was like really good. It was more fun than the Strider, I would say, just because of the speed. Even if it's a little floaty around normal enemies, that's, you know, even with that, I remember later on in the stream, as we were coming to the end of it, I was starting to get better with like placing some of those special skills on like smaller enemies and stuff. So I don't think it's going to be a problem if I just practice a little bit more. But on a boss, it's like, it's so good. It's so good, dude. It's just so satisfying. And he moves so fast, and he's got the little forward dodge. And he looks cool. You know, my character looks pretty cool in a lot of these like outfits. You know, as they compliment his like insane, almost like Roman. Someone said I looked like Thor at one point, you know. But I'm noticing some of the armor is looking pretty badass. Like there was a ninja hood that looked so cool that I almost like covered my character's face with it. Almost.
I remember that.
Almost. I've got it in storage for if I get like a full set
Jeff,
that
you
looks
spent
really
so
badass.
long making that beautiful face.
I know. So I'm holding out, but yeah, it was just really satisfying. That ensnare is just really satisfying to use on harpies as well. That's like really, I get a little adrenaline rush every time I just effortlessly down a harpy with a rope. That's pretty kick ass.
Yank him out of the sky.
And yeah, that's mostly it. Did you have anything to add from what you saw with me?
No, I mean, that seems like a pretty good summation. Maybe one thing I'll ask is, now that you've not only played the Thief, but seen some of the other classes in action, is this going to affect your ranking?
Yeah, I think it's going to slightly affect my ranking just because it's going so well so early.
Okay.
I did rank it very charitably. I'm trying to think. What are some other things I saw in the game? So I saw a lot of mage with just Revius. I saw a lot of archer, and I saw some fighter, but fighter really kind of faded into the background in the context of my party. And then I saw warrior. This is Mr. Mosby. This was the warrior that we rented.
Right.
We had I had a party of hobbits, basically.
That was very interesting. Yeah, we had remember that grandma we had? Remember the name?
Oh yeah, like thick granny or something like that.
It's like short, thick granny.
Sad
or
thick
something.
gran.
Yeah.
Here
we had a
she
very
is. Yeah.
sad thick granny.
Yeah, this was me. This was me.
Party at one
Yeah,
point.
this part of the stream was me completing the Hobbit party with Jess Revius.
Oh, there she is.
His
There's
lover, Sad Thick
Gran.
Gran, and Mr. Mosby. Oh no, we got rid of Sad Thick Gran. That's right. Yeah, that's right. We replaced him with a bromance. Yeah. So yeah, Mr. Mosby, who sounds exactly as pompous as Jess Revius does. You should definitely check out our live streams, by the way, because we're doing some outrageous stuff there. But so in that context, the thing I noticed was Archer seems to do a lot of damage. They seem to do like a huge amount of fucking damage. The Warrior I got a better impression of, and in terms of, because I became more appreciative. It didn't seem like it was that squishy because he wasn't getting downed very much at all, but he was outputting a lot of damage. I ultimately decided later on in the stream that I preferred probably like a combination of fighter and warrior for the two pawns, because the fighter has basically just been a damage sponge, just like distracting, aggroing enemies and dealing some decent damage, and then the warrior coming in with the extra damage. I do that just to be extra conservative because I'm a thief and Jess Revius is a mage. Oh, that's one other thing I can talk about with the thief is like if you get hit, generally speaking, if you get hit a decent amount at all, you're kind of cooked. Especially in the early game, you're kind of toast if your play is the thief. There's a few times where
the mage is very squishy. Likewise,
there was a few times where you got where like enemies got off a few like pot shots, and it was like it kind of almost killed me. But two things with that. One, we've learned in this game, when you start your death animation to go down, you have like a window of time as you're like falling down to open your inventory and heal with an item. That's like your last second to do that. And that's a big deal. I didn't realize that at first, but we figured it out eventually. That's a big deal because like that gives you a lot of a chance to like kind of get back up, especially with me as a thief. Like it can go so many ways. Like you see, like I'm kind of like floating around the enemies a little bit. So like if I get a little clumsy with them and I miss, or I mess up the timing while I'm still getting used to this, one of them can come up and kind of gank me pretty hard. Not really the goblins anymore. But it's still like a concern, but, I think over time the armor started to mitigate this problem, and learning that I could just see. This is me practicing the helm splitter to kind of try and get it on them. You see, I jump over them. I'm too tall, and then it's like, oh, but if I land towers. It on them,
just towers, yeah.
But lost my train of thought. What was I saying? Oh no. Oh yeah. So like when you're, you see it right here. Look, I'm dying. Look, if we go back for a second, yeah, this is what I was talking about. You see this? Look, I'm in the fray. This guy came out of nowhere and just like, look at my health bar. Look at my health bar. I got clipped and then I got clipped again.
Oh yeah.
Do you see that? And then I immediately started falling. So this is perfect. This is exactly what it's talking about. So I'm rolling around. I'm like trying stuff out. I'm trying to get it figured out right. But then if you get, the idea is like you're not supposed to get hit really that much. And if you do, it goes like that. But you'll see
punish you for it instantly.
I'm about to get downed. I'm about to die. I'm at 0 health. And this is where we
and
realized.
You know what? This is actually kind of, I don't know if a bunch of people know this, but there's like 3 seconds or something right after you hit 0 where you can still heal.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about just now. So you'll see I'm healing, and then I get out of the menu, and let's see, and you just get back up, and then you're good to go, and then you hit a barrel, an exploding barrel, like I just said. So there's that. The other thing is the quick step is very responsive. So if you just get good about staying aware, not rushing headlong into enemies like I did in the beginning here, like an idiot, the quick step is very responsive. So like they can be landing on you at the last second and you can be pressing that and getting out of there. That's why I suspect there is some kind of iframes, because I got so close to getting hit, like, surprise attacked, but my reflexes kind of improved over the course of the playthrough, that like I've had some close calls where it's like I think his armor or his weapon like hit me, but I was just already iframing it with the forward dash. So that is one other thing with the thief is they're a bit squishy, but they do output a lot of damage when you you get it going right. Same thing as the Strider basically. But yeah, so in that context, I use a conservative party with like the fighter, the warrior, and then just Revius is the mage, giving me like a buff, and then otherwise healing, like fire boon for the buff, and then just general healing, and just a fire attack for just Revius. We keep it pretty simple there, and that really seems to kind of clear out a lot of everything. Basically, it allows me to the flexibility to kind of experiment and get better with the technique of the thief.
I've had the same experience too. Whereas if you just, early game anyway, but if you just keep your party balanced, it seems like you can kind of handle anything and everything.
Yeah, and feel free to tell me in the comments like what you think of this. That kind of party combination. I know it said like Mr. Mosby's level 17. I just wanted to try getting a stronger one just to see, but we're keeping him around right now, where we're about, by the end of this playthrough, we were about the same level as him. So we try not to use like over leveled stuff or whatever. But I was just curious to see how the warrior looked. But basically, so I guess that was kind of my epilogue, my rambling epilogue to the thief. We can go over to the tier list. I'm basically looking at...
here we go.
I'm basically looking at, like, I had primary experience with just the thief. I had secondary experience with, like, fighter, warrior, mage, and that's about it, basically. Archer a bit. So I would say for this might be a little overzealous, and it might come back down. But I think right now I'm going to temporarily move Thief into S. Just because I'm going to put it behind Magic Archer. I'm going to put it behind Mystic Spear Hand because I have experience with Magic Archer from Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen and really enjoyed that. And Mystic Spear Hand, I know they're going to be different in this game. I understand these are different. I basically haven't played them, but my expectations for these my excitement for these is still really high. The reason I'm putting it in there is because, despite like my gripes about the floatiness, the core mechanics of the game are they're so tight and like quick, responsive, and fun to use that I almost don't mind how much he's floating around, and I can even like aim it if I just simplify like my I noticed by the end, like the more I like simplify my I break it down in my head mentally. I'm like, okay, we don't need to do a spinning dagger skill for everything. I can just practice aiming the basic combos and stuff. That really it really is like made for like really fun, like what's the word, like physically versatile, like on the screen, like moving around a lot, like kind of experience. And then the bosses have been a blast to play. I cannot wait.
They're so much fun.
We're gonna
so much fun, Jeff.
I think we're gonna do it at the start of the next stream. I think I know where a griffin is near us, near Vermont.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
we saw it in the trailer. It's in the field. That field that we went around. We went into we used an aqueduct to get into Vermont. We didn't do it the way you're supposed to do.
It was a very goofy stream. Go check it out.
Yeah, but so I cannot wait to like try this guy out on the Griffin. Like this guy's got me fiending to fight bosses. I'm not dreading them. I'm not like, oh, I better get prepared. I'm like ready and like fiending for bosses with this guy because of like all the crazy stuff you can do. So for that reason, because it was like SSSS like experience with bosses and maybe like B plus experience with the enemies, like the thief's going in the S temporarily on the condition, and on the condition it's going to stay there on the condition that one, I can like I can figure out if this is a skill issue with like how I like am handling combat with the smaller mobs and get more precise with that.
It might be one of those things where you just kind of slowly, grow into it.
That's how it feels. That's how it feels because they just give you all the speed at the start. So it's kind of like if you're like, it's like riding a motorcycle the first time. If anyone's rode a motorcycle, you like turn the handle and you're like, boom, we're like, whoa, and then you're like, stop. And then you have to like kind of like, you have kind of got to figure it out from there. You can't just like totally stop because the motorcycle won't turn on, but you obviously can't like, you're scared to like go too fast. You'll crash. So you kind of got to, you have this jerky middle ground where as you're learning to change gears. And the thief is basically that. It's the motorcycle vocation. So I just came up with that on the spot.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah. Warrior, I actually, just based on having the warrior in my party and stuff like that, I'm actually going to put that at the lead of B, to be honest with you.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Oh, we got all the vocations kind of creeping up here.
Yeah, I would say just because with warrior, I was unimpressed with the concept on paper. Didn't have any experience with it in Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen from my playthrough. Right. But in practice,
it's very useful to have one around.
It was very useful. And I was like, well, if the thief is this fast, where it's almost too fast, maybe that makes the warrior like a lot more bearable as a vocation. Right. I don't know if it's going to be that slow or clumsy or whatever. So I am most interested out of anything here. I'm most interested to play as warrior. Warfare, I think I was kind of... think about warfare. I think there was something I was thinking about with the thief. Was there any new thoughts we had about the warfare in light of our playthrough?
Not really. We haven't learned anything about the warfare for one. No, I don't have any new thoughts about it.
Okay. Warfare, I think just because I think tentatively I would put warfare back in I was gonna put it in A. I feel like B's kind of doing a disservice. Something about warfare now I like understand a bit more. Now that I've got a feel for how a vocation plays. I've only got I've only got experience with one vocation right now, so I don't know exactly how good this is going to be when combined with other vocations because I haven't seen how they played. But just from my experience, the basic combat mechanics are much like smoother than I had it in my head when I was imagining like combining different types of combat together. So like this thief, like having thief on the warfare, like having like thief weapons and skills on the warfare in combination with other things, I could see how you could stack several different things together in this.
Oh yeah,
like
that's a very good point.
You could probably get away with like thief and archer and like two others potentially. I think based on like what I'm seeing. I'm not sure how many I think I saw somewhere you can get upwards of like 9 weapons equipped or something on the warfare.
Oh my
but
gosh.
I don't
What?
know. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's true. Correct me in the comments if that's not true. I accidentally got spoiled for that, but if that is true. But the thief's like mechanics were just so tight and like compact that I was like, okay, well, if it's like this for all of them, then if nothing else, it could be very useful. It could be a lot more useful simply for having their basic weapon skills. Because that's really what I'm getting at is the basic weapon skills for the thief mattered a lot. I'm imagining they're going to matter a lot for the archer. So if you have thief and archer on the warfare, that's kind of a big deal. I need more like input. I need more data from like playing other vocations to verify that. And the next one I'll be playing is going to be archer probably once I max out thief. But that's just that on its own kind of like encouraged me a little bit. But yeah, warrior's going to move up to B. Trickster, I'm going to keep where it is. I will say,
Trickster's another one where it's like I don't even know.
I'm loving combat so much that I'm not even I thought it was like kind of cute at first or whatever the concept, but I am on the fence of like I don't even know if I would ever touch Trickster. Now that I'm in it and I'm feeling it, it's massaging the dopamine receptors in my brain.
You're gonna feel like you're missing out if you're not actually killing people, but we'll see.
Right, but maybe that's why it's like probably best that this comes later, is like you get that out of your system or something.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah,
because all the basic vocations, it is a lot of like combat, except for mage.
Jeff, I gotta say something. Mage D tier. What's happening here? I don't understand, Jeff. What?
So I just don't have enough information on it to know if I would actually enjoy playing it. That's listen. That's the problem. I'm probably tripping. It probably belongs in C, but I don't at least C, but I just don't know if from watching Just Revius, he's floating around everywhere. Just Revius is the one that always gets lost in this one too, in the sequel as well. And I'm starting to wonder, it's like, it's not from the character. It's not the character, as funny as that is to be like, oh, it's Just Revius. It's Just Revius. He was getting lost in DD1. If he was a
fighter, he would have his shit together. That's what you're saying.
It might be. That might be the case, because he was like having the exact same screw ups, and like we had this like period of time where he like fell off a waterfall somehow and died. Do you remember that?
So
and that caused the rest of my party to die.
Yeah, and
trying
they
to
all
get
died
him.
too, just to not be left out.
Yeah, so I don't know if that now that we've got 2 data points, we've got Dragon's Dogma, Dragon's Dogma 2. We're using Just Revius. He was a mage and turned sorcerer in the first one. He was a mage in this one. It might just be that's how the mage class plays.
I can see this tier list far into the future where every class is S except for mage. Is still alone in D tier.
So I will say I am going to be playing mage, but until I see a little bit, I'm going to pay more attention.
I'm not going to like it.
I'm going to pay more attention. Well, no, I'm going to pay more attention to like what we're getting, because okay. Here's the other thing. About the mage.
Right,
it does seem like if I was playing as the mage, potentially there's some interesting. Fucking fly. Gotta fucking kill this thing. Damn it. Sorry. So if I was playing as the mage, there's enough additional like skills that I'm seeing that are interesting that it would pique my interest with how I would play as the mage, because you've got like I'm seeing stuff that I didn't notice before in Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen. Like you've got you've got a skill. Okay, first of all, you can levitate. I know that was in the first one, but that's kind of cool.
It's very handy.
You've got the
it's like you know how like Princess Peach can do that like float jump in some games. That's basically what it is.
Oh, okay. Oh, that might be interesting.
It's very useful.
Okay. All right. Well, let me see. So it's got that. It's got like a shield spell that eventually gets upgraded to cover your whole party. And all that stuff. But like in practice, like using the pawn, like using it like on a pawn, I just care about like buffs and healing.
Yeah, well, the healing is great,
and the follow-up fire attack,
and whatnot.
Yeah,
right.
So, I just don't. I just because it's such a foreign kind of play style for me. I don't know if I've ever played as a mage in a proper, like a true action RPG. I'm just gonna I'm gonna sustain my apprehension just because it's like I feel like I'm gonna enjoy like sorcerer's in A because like the payoff is there, but I'm not seeing the payoff in mage. You know.
Okay.
I guess
we'll see.
I guess okay. I'm leaning towards putting it in C. I'm not going to put it there yet. I just don't have the motivation. But
no, Jeff, you can leave it in D. I know you want to. Just leave it there.
I will say the better impression that I did have was the fire spell looked a lot more fun and like effective and stuff than like I thought it would be. Like for a spell.
Yeah.
So I know you say you're enjoying the lightning spell a lot. It doesn't look that impressive.
Oh, I love the lightning spell. It's like auto aim nonsense. You don't even have to think. You just lightning and go. Okay,
well, this is my troll. This is my troll tier list, I guess, where I'm just trolling the mage players. Sorry about that. We just have all these, and then we have mage down here.
So sad.
Yeah.
So alone.
Yeah, so that's the tier list. That's the tier list update. I think what we're gonna do is so this has basically been my first impressions as a thief. The way that I'm playing, I'm at least gonna be able to max out a vocation like every stream and a half. So like every 2 weeks, I'm gonna be able to like have every week to 2 weeks, I'm gonna be able to have a first impressions from like getting a good 3 to 6 hours on a vocation, and then like a final review, I think, for maxing it out. I'm not sure how the Meister skills work, and I almost would want to save the review for that. So that's TBD, but at the very least, we're going to be doing like first impressions and reviews, and then updating my tier list accordingly during the week. So this is the first of those. I may be back with a review next week of the Thief, or I may have, if it's a scenario where I can't get to the Meister ability yet, but I've like maxed out the Thief and played with it enough, and I've got a few hours left, might switch to the Archer, so you might get a first impression of the Archer next week instead.
Okay, all right.
So we'll play it by ear. I'm going in very blind to this game. I intentionally did not get a lot spoiled, and we're taking it slow so we can like talk about it and stuff like that as well. So, but yeah, that's everything that we have for this video. We appreciate you watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe if you're new here. Really helps the channel. Also, let us know in the comments if you would be interested in getting in on this tier list stuff as a community. So this is to like our current subscribers. Would you guys be down in voting as a group for a tier list? Because I have a way to do that. I'm teasing it a little, but I just want to see what the initial reaction is. If you're down for that, if you're down for voting together on a tier list that we check in on every week, let us know.
The ultimate Dragon's Dogma 2 tier list, you say, Jeff?
I can make it happen. We can make it happen. We have the technology. We can figure out how to do it. Just let it. I just want to gauge interest. I have a feeling you'll be interested in that, but I just want to make sure there's participation. But yeah, beyond that, definitely subscribe. We're live every Saturday, 3 p.m. EST, playing for like 6.5 hours of Dragon's Dogma 2. That's what we're doing now. So we'd love to have you there. Our live streams, we kind of get a little crazy with them. This is me learning that you can just kill whoever you want by throwing them off of towers when they're rude to you, and there's no consequences. It was a nice, lovely... we had several falls of justice, I guess we'll call them, throws of justice.
They were very rude to you, Jeff.
They were all rude. All these like guard towers with these trebuchets on them. Everyone in there is just very rude. So I would just go.
What are they so busy doing in there?
I would just go floor to ceiling, just doing a niceness check on everybody. Can I get a niceness check? Are you going to be nice to me? Oh no, you're going to be kind of threatening. Oh, you're going to be okay. I guess off the roof with you. Let's go find somewhere and let's drop you.
Would you like to have your bones splattered on the ground?
Yeah. So, we have fun. It's a fun, entertaining stream. We had a good amount of people in chat. We'd love to have you join us. And, but yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching. Peace out.
See you.